Ariel Helwani in Denver for UFC 150 alongside Frankie "The Answer" Edgar, who meets Benson Henderson this Saturday night for the UFC lightweight title. And Frankie, here's the big question right off the top. You haven't been asked this yet. When are you going down to I'm just joking. How annoyed. I feel like every time you want to kill someone, when you even up to this fight, they keep asking you.
I know, it's crazy. You know, the fight's only 3-4 days away, and I'm getting that question. But it is what it is, man. I'm kind of used to it.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. The media stuff, yeah, you're pretty good with the media, but it seems like this time, like, you have a no-nonsense attitude. You don't even want to talk about this fight anymore. It seems to me like you're so pissed off that you lost that fight in February. You're just counting down the days. You're a little more all business, I could say. Is that accurate?
Yeah, for sure. That was kind of the whole idea around this camp is, just let's get to business. Let's get back in there and get the belt back, and then we can move on.
Okay, so you've been here for, what, 2 weeks? By the time you'll fight, it'll be 2 weeks. How has that helped you? Have you noticed a difference since when you came here in Colorado Springs, the high elevation, to now a few days before the fight? Are you more acclimated to the climate here?
Yeah, I do. I don't feel like I felt it that much, but I do feel every day I feel better and better. And I think coming out here early was definitely the right move. Make sure I have every advantage I can get.
When you first came, was it tough to adapt?
A little bit. You notice it a little bit. As soon as you relax, you kind of, you're in shape. You're in shape. Obviously the oxygen, there's science behind it, so it doesn't matter. But I feel I've had a great camp. I've had hard sparring. So by my last sparring session in Colorado, I felt normal.
When you first found out that you were fighting in Denver, was that the first thing that came to mind? I have to come early, I have to get acclimated, all that stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely something I was aware of. Everyone talks about the elevation and how it could affect you. So it's something that I wanted to make sure I had in order before I started my camp.
And you kind of made me look bad a few months ago because you told me you weren't going to fight on this card, and then all of a sudden the UFC announced you are fighting on this card. What exactly happened there?
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to fight in a card, and Dana called me, said, we want to fight here, and I obliged. So here we are.
Did the sort of deal happen like, all right, we gave you the rematch, now you have to fight when we tell you to fight?
Yeah, no, I guess maybe that's how it worked out.
So here's the thing: you did get something done with your nose, right? Because it would always bleed and break easily. Did it heal in time for when you were, feeling comfortable enough in sparring and whatnot that this is not going to happen again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying my nose isn't going to break again, but yeah, it definitely healed. I was able to, when I started my camp, I was able to spar hard right away, and it held up, throughout this whole camp. So, hopefully I can go away with a straight nose, but, it is what it is. We'll see.
Well, maybe he can straighten it for you because it's not straight right now.
Yeah, I know. We may give me a shot the other side. I'll be all right. I don't have to go to the doctor at all.
It seems like you almost start with a disadvantage because you are more prone to bleeding and getting sort of roughed up. Do you feel that way? Like the judges look at you sort of aesthetically after a round and they're like, all right, he took more damage, even though you're maybe more prone to, dealing with that damage or the damage looking on your face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's something that I really can't control,
Right.
Maybe ice my face before I go out there. I don't know what I could do to make it, not take bruises and whatnot. But actually, I did an interview with Ben side by side, and he says he's never had a black eye in a fight ever. So I think it's natural. Some people just got good skin. Some take little bruises.
I was watching the Countdown show yesterday, and your coach, Mark Henry, said that he felt like, especially later on in the round, I think it was in the fight, I think it was the 5th round, when you rocked him, and then he did the thing where he wiped his foot, and he's done that against Anthony Pettis. Do you feel like that's something that he's doing with the judges, like, oh, this is a slip, not a knockdown, to try to play? Like, that's a tactic of his, and you have to deal with that kind of stuff?
It might be. Ben's a smart fighter. I do. I think he's smart in a lot of ways where, he maybe uses some body expressions to alter the judges, but at least say, I wasn't that good of a shot. Or, he's also smart in the fact that you can't do something to him a bunch of times because he's going to adjust to it. So he's a smart guy, and, yeah, maybe he is.
How different do you think this fight will be? Do you think it will resemble the first fight, or are you expecting a completely different fighter?
I'm expecting a different fighter as a better fighter because, I know I improved. I'm expecting him to improve. We've both been in there with each other for 25 minutes, and we got to see what we both bring to the table. So, it could end up the same, but I think we're going to both be better. All
right, final question. What is the key to defeating Benson? Perhaps something that you didn't think you did well enough in the first fight that you need to do on Saturday night?
It's tough to really say. I just have to be better, and I've been saying that. I know it's kind of cliche, but I feel I did, I felt I did good at the last fight, but I need to be a little bit better and make sure there's no question.
Always a pleasure. Good luck, Frankie.
Yeah, thank you, Ariel.